Hi
Hi guys.
guys.
So I'm Joanna.
I'm Nathan.
And
And he's Evelyn. She's Evelyn.
Yeah, and she's Evelyn, okay?
Yeah.
So anyway, today we're gonna talk about the Arctic. Arctic! So now let's move into it. Share. So if you can see it, that's good. So facts about the Arctic.
Joanna, Nathan. Joanna, Evelyn, and Nathan.
Yeah.
What?
So now, what is the Arctic? A habitat for some animals.
Not
The
all.
North Pole and the South Pole are three kinds. Or actually, the North are. So since I didn't want to just tell you the whole thing, so that's why I want you to think: are the North Pole and the South Pole Arctic?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is. So three kinds of habitat in the North Pole. First kind of habitat in the North Pole is called a glacier. Second is a tundra. And third is water, of course. Water.
Of course, there's nothing. Facts about the Arctic. So the North Pole has no land.
Yeah.
It's covered. Well, there is land, but it's covered in ice. Antarctica has land, but it's covered in ice. Santa Claus. Well, I don't know. Anyways, so Antarctica has land, and
I
it's
did not
covered in
think
ice,
Santa Claus
which is a snowy land or icy land.
I do not know if Santa Claus is even real.
Yeah. So North Pole is surrounded by land. So it's technically the North Pole is above us. So thinking about the North Pole is above us on the sky, which is not real. It's north.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So North Pole is surrounded by land.
Antarctica
is the coldest place on Earth.
It's so cold.
Yeah.
The coldest
place on Earth is Antarctica, and it can up to negative 130 degrees Fahrenheit. It's even colder than your
freezer.
But
your freezer is still cold, you know. So the North Pole can only go up to negative 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Not as cold as Nathan said for Antarctica, right?
Yeah.
No darkness in summertime for the North Pole. No sunlight in the wintertime for the North Pole. So actually, for the North Pole, there's only 2 seasons.
And in Antarctica, there's only 2 seasons. So,
yeah.
So technically, they're both switched. They're switched. So if North Pole is summertime and there's no darkness, then in Antarctica in summertime there's no sunlight. It's the opposite. It's just really weird. Animals and animals in the Arctic. So there is penguins in Antarctica. Actual fox.
Arctic.
Yeah, Arctic fox. Arctic wolf. So Arctic fox and wolf are both in Antarctica. Yeah, animals.
No, I think it's usually in the North Pole because the North Pole is a little warmer than Antarctica.
Mm-hmm. Polar bears can be anywhere. It can be Antarctica and, well, some, but there's a little, not that much. A few. And there is a lot of polar bears in North Pole, which is the Arctic. Wait, no, not. Yeah.
Antarctica.
Walrus, of course, it's in the ocean. Seal. Moose. You might be wondering, why is there moose in the North Pole? But it's actually real.
Did you remember, like, the North Pole is surrounded by land, but Antarctica wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Narwhal. So, and whale. Well, of course, whales are everywhere. Snow rabbit. So snow rabbit is not a normal rabbit that we see in here.
White.
Like a snow rabbit, a rabbit that can live in snow.
What?
Cold place. Like
because
Antarctica.
Snow rabbit because it's white and it looks like snow.
Yes.
And it's a rabbit.
So the reason why there's a lot of animals in the Antarctica and the North Pole is because they want to blend in with the snow, so they won't get eaten.
Also
For
warmer,
example,
so they can cross over and go back. Too.
Yeah. For example, if an Arctic fox is red, then it would be easy to spot it. Eagles are in the Arctic, and
And the owl.
owls. So you might be thinking the owls that
So
are
now
inland,
we're gonna
but
watch
it can still be. It's still snow owls, which is the white.
We're gonna watch this video. Here we
So
go.
now we're gonna watch this video.
On our planet, we have two polar regions, the Arctic, whose name comes from the Greek Arctikos of the north, and the Antarctic, from Antarcticos, opposite of the north. But there is an easier way to remember them if you just remember what surrounds them. The Arctic, situated in the northern hemisphere of our planet, is an ocean entirely surrounded by land. On the other side of the world, the Antarctic is a continent entirely surrounded by ocean.
Yeah, so that's why we said when we said that there's a lot more animals, right? There's a lot more animals in the North Pole because it's
Also, one, it's much warmer. Two, they can easily migrate. When Antarctica is surrounded by water, and it's very hard to migrate. So only animals that can fly very far, swim very far, can migrate. But other than that, most animals can't migrate to other places because it's surrounded by water and land.
Penguins, and the Antarctic has penguins but no polar bears. Let's talk about the Arctic first. The Arctic region consists of a vast ice-covered ocean surrounded by treeless permafrost. The area can be defined as the region between the Arctic Circle and the North Pole. If you were to stand at the North Pole, everywhere you looked, in all directions, would be south. But standing at the North Pole is difficult to do for very long because it's in the middle of an ocean covered by constantly shifting frozen sea ice. If you were to fall into the water at the North Pole, you'd fall into water that's 13,980 feet deep. Above the water, average winter temperatures can be as low as negative 40 degrees Celsius, and the coldest recorded temperature is approximately negative 68 degrees Celsius. Despite these incredibly
90 degrees Fahrenheit, okay?
Which is very cold.
Super cold
conditions, humans have populated areas in the Arctic for thousands of years. Life in the Arctic includes organisms living in the ice, zooplankton and phytoplankton, fish and marine mammals, birds, land animals, plants, and human societies. Okay, what about Antarctica? Antarctica is Earth's southernmost continent, and it contains the geographic South Pole. It's the fifth largest continent on the planet, at nearly twice the size of Australia. Almost 98% of Antarctica is covered by ice at least 1 mile in thickness. Conditions in Antarctica are some of the most extreme in the entire world. On average, it's the coldest, windiest, driest continent, and has the highest average elevation of all the continents. You might think that it snows all the time at the poles, but Antarctica is so dry it's considered a desert, with annual precipitation of only 200 millimeters along the coast and far less inland. The temperature in Antarctica has reached negative 89 degrees Celsius.
128 Fahrenheit. That's so
Yes,
cold.
that is cold. That's colder than a freezer, of course.
Yeah.
Get to. There are no permanent human residents on Antarctica, but anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 people reside throughout the year at the research stations scattered across the continent. Even the most extreme animals fight for survival, and only cold-adapted organisms survive there, including many types of algae, animals, bacteria, fungi, plants, and protista. But why is Antarctica colder than its northern cousin? Well, first, much of the continent is more than 3 kilometers above sea level, and temperature decreases with elevation. That's why mountaintops have snow on them. Second, remember that the Arctic is really a frozen ocean. The water in the ocean beneath it is warmer than the frozen ground in the Antarctic, and that warmth is transferred through the ice pack. This prevents temperatures in the Arctic regions from reaching the extremes typical of the land surface of Antarctica. Third, the seasons are conspiring against the Antarctic. During the aphelion in July, when the Earth is the farthest away from the sun, it also happens to be winter in the Antarctic, which creates a double whammy of cold for the southern pole. But despite being inhospitable, the North and South Pole are a big reason why our planet is the way it is. Both of our polar regions are very important climate controllers. They help moderate the temperature in our temperate zones and give us stable weather. As sea ice in the Arctic declines due to climate change and global warming, weather around the globe becomes increasingly more unstable.
So,
So that was the video.
yeah, and melted. Can't you believe it? Like ice melted? And the homes left. Like animals do not have homes.
Yeah, even penguins in there can't. If it's too cold, then it can't even. The fur can't even keep them warm.
Cute fox. Yep. So that's the end.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.